Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it's the second day of April 2024. Welcome to our show today. We're going to get right into things with Mr. Tater on Tatar Tuesday. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good.
Doing good. What's happening in John world this morning?
Oh, I'm kind of preparing to go to court myself at the end in the middle of the day. So that's why I'm kind of a little spiffier than normal.
There you go. You're a little quiet today.
I have to put my tie on.
Okay, there you go. So what you going to court over today?
A garnishment that they put on me, and regarding a fees that I paid with beans, and so they garnished my bank account based on that, and now I'm going to give them 7 laws because they don't know it. The garnishment company. So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
I'll keep you informed.
Okay. Looking forward to it. So you have a song today?
No, today I do not, because I've been dealing with this other stuff. So
yeah,
didn't get around to putting one together for us.
Okay, there's a lot going on right now. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into our letter, because this is what people are really interested in right now. We're not going to waste any time today.
Do you want to go back to the beginning and start, or do you want to go from where we left off?
I think because we're revising it, I think it's a good thing. You know, most people, it takes about 5 times to actually get the information. And if there's anybody here that's not familiar with it, I don't think it's a bad idea to go through it. Courtney's not coming on today. So she's off this week and next week. So we've got the ability to be on and talk about, talk things. I had Mike Bambus on this weekend, and I just want to talk just briefly about something. He was in a meeting. He showed up in a meeting and asked them about a designation of Trading with the Enemy Act. And several of the people walked out that day. And walked out that day. And I really like what Mike has to say. I really do. And I think it's worthy to weigh all things. But do you know anything about that act? Because I like to.
That act wasn't written for the American people. That act was written for those that were considered American, like Bush. What's Bush's father's name?
Prescott Bush.
Prescott Bush, that was trading with the enemy. He was giving money to the Nazis. So that's where that focus is. Got to know a little bit about history. And there were people that were trading with the enemy. And in fact, Ford Motor Company had their factories in Germany, building tanks and so on and so forth. And they were told that not to bomb those factories. And by golly, the Ford factories didn't get bombed in Germany. And so that's where Trading with the Enemy Act came from. It didn't come against the American people.
Okay. Can it also be applied towards anyone doing business with China? Because right now we are, or does it have to be an act of war type of designation?
Supposed to be an act of war. It's not supposed to be because China really isn't our quote enemy in what? In finance and economics, yes. In politics, yes, they are, except the people that are dealing in I wouldn't be surprised if this act could be used against Obama and Clinton and Biden and that crew of criminals. I'm possibly could be.
This is really interesting. This is so interesting. I just pulled this up, and it's 1917. I always like seeing that number. So hang on a minute, and let's.
What was going on in 1917?
What are you specifically?
Historically, what was going on in 19 besides the Spanish flu?
Well, fill us all in.
World War I.
It started in 2010 or 11, or 1910 or 11.
Somewhere around there, yes.
Yeah, and so So there was a lot of, and it was a declared war, and,
Yeah.
and I find it very different because we have not had a declared war since World War II. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And so this was written in wartime. And so kind of an interesting thing. And I really do think that we need to, I'm just trying to find the full, I've got Cornell Law up, and they're not giving me full text here. I don't know why. This is weird. I'd like to bring it up, at least showing a full text of it.
So why wasn't Jane Fonda found guilty of trading with the enemy during Vietnam?
I don't know. She should have been found guilty of.
Vietnam wasn't a declared war, was it?
Correct.
It was what they called a police action. Who declares war?
Legislature.
Yes, Congress declare war.
Congress declares war.
And what happened during Vietnam was Johnson declared war, and he didn't really declare war. He said we were just going to send troops over there to help the Vietnamese fight the communists. But it wasn't a declared war, and so a lot of the requirements of trading with the enemy and so on and so forth during time of war wasn't happening because there wasn't a declared war. Should we have been there? No. Should we have put guns and ammo and military men in harm's way? No, not without a declared war. But they've been doing that ever since World War II, Korea, Somalia, because we have allowed the president to do that kind of crap, and we didn't stop it. We, the people, allowed it to happen. We should have stopped it. We should have gotten rid of those people in Washington and so on and so forth. You can't do that. You can't send a military operation into a country without a declaration of war. And if you go back to our Constitution, you could see in the Second Amendment or in Article 2 that the military is only allowed to stand for 2 years and be disbanded. And that was and during World War II, we had a military. And after World War II, it should have been disbanded, but it wasn't, because then we went to Korea. Then we went to Vietnam, and it's been a war ever since, only because of the deep state and the ugly people, communists or criminals that are in our government. And we keep putting them back in there because they're Democrats and they are for the people. They're not for the people.
They're Marxists, is what they are. And here's the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, and
now I can't read it because the print's way too small, and I don't know if you want to dive into it.
No, not really. I just wanted to. I don't want to get like too out in the weeds, but I did want to pull it up because it was on yesterday's show, and I decided that we should follow up on this a little bit and at least put a source out there.
Go back to the definitions.
Okay, just a minute. It's too quick to close it out. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, I did read that act. Go to the definitions. See what it says about the enemy.
The enemy is used here and shall be deemed to mean, for the purposes of such trading and of this act, any individual, partnership, or other body of individuals or any nationality resident within the territory, including that occupied by the military and naval forces of any nation with which the United States is at war, or resident outside the United States and doing business within such territory, and any corporation incorporated within such territory of any nation with which the United States is at war, or incorporated within any country other than the United States is doing business within such territory. It's a lot. It's long.
Yeah, but I want to see. Does it say citizen in there? American citizens?
Um,
No.
let's see, the government of any nation with which the United States is at war, or any political or municipal subdivision, therefore, or any officer, official, agent, or agency thereof, such other individuals or body or class of individuals as may be native citizens or subjects of any nation with which the United States is at war, other than citizens of the United States.
Stop.
Right.
Would it say other than?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Wherever resident or wherever doing business as the president, if he shall find the safety of the United States or any successful prosecution of the war shall so require, may by proclamation include within the term enemy.
Okay, now tell
And
me.
then it says the allies of the enemy.
Yeah, tell me, where do we fit in as people and the government using the Trading with the Enemy Act against the public? Against you and me, we the people.
Well, I'm going to just let you talk, and so because the quizzing Donna on this is like I'm not sure where your head's going. So go ahead.
No, you're doing fine. I'm just these not questions for you specifically, but for the listeners.
Okay.
Because when they use this act and they say, "Well, we are the government is using it against us because we are the enemy, and therefore we need to cite these acts." It doesn't. This is a red herring, ladies and gentlemen. This does not have anything to do with me and you, unless you are in fact trading with the enemy, and we are not in time of war, and therefore the Trading with the Enemy Act does not apply.
Now, could it apply to? I think that where it's being applied is against public functionaries who are in fact trading with the enemy and even an undeclared war. Now, here's a question. If we're in a state of emergency, if there's a state of emergency that was declared, and or if there was a change in the government, would this not apply or be able to be used under an emergency declaration?
The emergency declaration also is a very slippery slope kind of thing, because they can declare an economic emergency. They can declare a
war on drugs, war on terror. I mean, we're always at war with somebody.
There you go. All of those things could be considered but they're not a declaration of war. And the Trading with the Enemy Act is under declaration of war. We don't have a declaration of war. And no matter how the so-called patriots twist this, and they do twist this, because they have these scenarios that they think are really nice, and I mean, people will follow and believe in it. People believe that the government is the enemy, or the government is in control and we are the enemy of the government, which is not the case at all, ever been. Yes, we are.
Being issue with that little statement right there, because the government has waged war upon the entirety of the people of the United States, of we the people. They have committed acts of war against other nations as well as the people here. So I'm not,
abuse, yes. Acts of war, no. It's a different animal. Again, acts of war. The only war that can be declared is by Congress. Otherwise, we're not. We're in something other than. We are in that slippery slope as whatever we can. Again, Vietnam, yeah, it was, as far as I'm concerned, it had all the makings of a war, because it was shooting at people. We were killing Americans.
Looked like it.
It looked like a war it looked like a duck, that story. It looks like a duck, smells like a duck. But it wasn't a declaration of war.
Smells like a duck. You're funny. So
it was not a declaration of war. Now, if we're going to be a country of laws, which is what we are and what the republic is, that all of those behaviors of our country, the Vietnam and Korea and all of those, on the side of law, was not a declaration of war. And therefore, all of the nonsense that these patriots run around with, say that we are there's the war been declared against us. No, we have criminals in government. That's basically it. We have criminals in the government that do not follow the rule of law. They believe they follow the rule of man. And they've been trying all very hard over the years to get rid of God, because if you don't have God, then who do you follow? You follow man. So their whole philosophy is to break the chain of the spiritual, religious, whatever you want to call it, away from the people, to get the people to believe, that there is no God. This is it. When they throw dirt on you, you're dead and there's nothing else and you don't have to worry about it. They want people to believe that they are in charge. No, they're not in charge. They never were in charge. And those of us that believe in God and those of us that are spiritual believe that there is a, whatever you want to believe, life hereafter or whatever, and you practice, and we'll call it the Christian religion, because America was based on Christianity. If you follow that Christian philosophy, then we follow one God. My laws, my rights, carrying a gun, right to speak, all of those come from God, not from government. Government has no power to take them away from me. Only God can do that. And since that's the case, and our Constitution stands as our protection against the tyrannical governments, which is what we have, a tyrannical government, we need to follow the philosophy of Christianity, or show everybody that we have these rights. You can't take them away from us, no matter what. You can't take my right to bear arms away from me under any circumstance.
So, and I think this is a great way to have these hard discussions, because we don't have to agree with each other lockstep, but the discussions need to be made so that we can have an honest discussion with differing ideas to come to where truth either stands or it's proved false. And I think that this is real important. This is an important process to go through, not just necessarily believing one way or the other, but to have the discussion and prove it out in a very logical, lawful way, what is in fact truth and what is needs to either be discarded or embraced. So I'm always glad to have the discussions with you, and you will always go towards the lawful way things should be run as you understand it and see it, which I really appreciate your wisdom. You have had tremendous amount of education, and the fact that you are so willing to educate people on what you know, and you always bring it back to a plumb line of truth in a legal sense. So unless you get your guitar out there or the accordion, then it's just all up in the air.
Please understand that there are lots of people writing on this bathroom wall called the internet. And if you don't understand the republic and you don't fight for the republic, then you're distracted in some other direction. Trading with the Enemy Act is a distraction. All caps names, that's a distraction. Birth certificate and all of the money that you get when you were born, and they've got it in some sort of a birth certificate. That's a distraction. None of that stuff is real. In fact, we live in a fake world at this moment. We got a fake government that operates with fake money and that presses fake ideas. And so you have to look at it that way.
I think it's a really good thing, though, to be able to talk about everything and different people's perspective, because this is part of the process, is learning how to recommunicate with each other and honoring each other with everybody who's a good person, who's trying to ferret their way through the world of lies that we live in. The only way to do that is to, first of all, acknowledge that we don't know everything, and then be able to go into that and explore it, because there are people, because I talk to everybody. I get attacked about this on a daily basis. Well, you're talking to this person, that's a bad person to talk to. So I'm not in the club, and then they stop talking to me because they can only sit in the pew with people they agree with 100%, which I think is absolutely moronic. You need to talk to people everywhere that you disagree with or that you don't understand, in order for it to sift. It's a sifting process. And I think that that's a real important process to go through, is to sift. And that's even the stuff that you talk about. There's a lot of people out there that just I get more comments about your shows than I do about anything, because people just love you. They absolutely love you, which is really cool. And so, I mean, but there are people out there that are like, that Tater, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, I think he does, but we need to we need to throw out the truths and throw out information and let people sift through it and sift through it and point and counterpoint what's going on out there, so that it's a logical discussion.
Here's the key. The key to the republic is authority. Remember, we go back to Norton versus Shelby County. An unconstitutional act is not a law. It's all about authority. Now, show me the authority on the act, on the Trading with the Enemy Act, wherever has been used against the public, against you and me. Now, I'm not talking about criminals using it, and they do all the time. Criminals use all kinds of laws and twist. And how many of you have been in the court and the judge twists the law right in front of your eye, and you know it's a twisted part of what's going on? It's not the truth, because they get away with it because we allow it. And we allow it, I mean, individually, I do what I do, and I fight where I fight. But it's all about authority. Where do you get that authority from? That's the question. Where do you get that authority on birth certificates? Show me some documentation somewhere that is actually a fact, or that trading with the enemy is meant to be used against the public. Show me either in the document itself, or where they have twisted the laws and changed the law and made it something other than what it is.
From what I understand, the Trading of the Enemy Act can be actually used against the public functionaries. I think that's what Mike Bambus was saying yesterday. So I'm going to continue to kind of go down that and see if we can find any nuggets.
How can it be used against the public functionaries? How can it be used against the public functionary? Who's the enemy?
The public functionaries at this point, if they're trading with the enemy.
Who is the enemy that they're trading with?
Excuse me?
Who's the enemy that these public functionaries are trading with?
I think it's one of those things that I need to explore more, and it's a good question to ask. So I'm willing to go down that path and find out. And that's kind of where it is, because I think looking at everything doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means that you're exploring an issue to find out if there's merit to it. And I think that's where I am right now. So I can't necessarily answer your questions because I'm in a research capacity, because, things pop up like popcorn every day. And one thing that I immediately think is a bad idea is to discount things before we've had time to really process it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to process it. And I think it's a good direction to go into, because I have gotten attacked brutally over what we're working on right now for removing the voting machines at the township levels. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about the scream of panic going on out there, to the point of somebody saying, well, if we remove the machines, we're going to lose Republican votes. I'm like, what universe does that make sense in? It makes no that statement right there tells me the person that said it is either a political operative or somebody who is just absolutely flat out ignorant of what's going on here. And it gives me deep concern over any messages that come out of this person's mouth. And so the thing about this is that we have to go through this process and not immediately discount when somebody comes in and we don't understand how it's working. This is how I look at it. We don't understand where they're coming from. I want to listen to them until we've dug down through every level of this and find out if there's even a modicum of truth, or if there's just even a little bit that we can use as a way to attack the enemy in a legal sense. Now, if it's not legal, and if there's a problem there, we just have to be aware of it. And that's kind of where I'm going for this, because I am going to go down it, because I want to see. I need to read it, and I read it fully, and I also need to be able to say, okay, who is this to? And I think your input on it is real valuable. This is what we need to have, is that discourse where we're all talking together and say, well, wait a minute, what context is this? What does this mean? How can we use it? Or is it going to just be a waste of time? Like Axe My Tax. It's a waste of time, totally waste of time. And so, but we need to have the discussions on why this is, like for Axe My Tax, it's actually stripping the money out of the local control, and we'll end up putting it in the state control. And so I look at this and it's like, why are we even talking about this? This is just another money shuffling situation, instead of going for the juggler on this property tax nonsense. And it falls short in every single metric for me. It falls short. Now, would I uphold people's ability to have a choice on that? Oh yeah, I would. But I'm also going to say my piece on this and not necessarily dive in over a headline. I want to get behind the headlines, give it a fair assessment, and then come up for air after the assessment and say, yeah, this is crap. And I've got enough information on it for Donna Brandenburg to say this is just nothing but a distraction and crap. But we also have to look at, okay, if they do accomplish that plan, and I've seen a financial breakdown on this, what this actually means on a local level, which most people are like, yeah, we got to get rid of property taxes. It's like, you're not getting rid of property taxes. You're just shuffling where they're coming into, and it doesn't make sense when you look at the overall plan. Now, if more information comes out and they can convince me otherwise, I'm impartial. But from what I'm seeing in most of this stuff, it's like I just sit back and go, well, let's continue to evaluate this. So with that said, I know a lot of people want to get into the letter right now, so let's just do that. So
we got a few more seconds before we jump into the letter.
Okay, a few more seconds. Okay.
The argument here, what country or what kind of government do we have?
Republic.
We got to go back to that. We're in a republic. And what is a republic, basically?
We, the people that contract with the government for services.
Okay, delegated authority.
Delegated authority.
Delegated authority. It's delegated. We delegate power. See, this is why they're throwing out all of this stuff, all of these fringe arguments that sound really good. They really sound good, but they are not following the republic. So if you get into an argument with somebody about Axe My Tax or whatever, you go back to the republic. What is the republic? How do we operate in the republic, and how do we delegate authority? We didn't delegate authority to the government to create a funny money system, a fiat, phony, fake money system, to create inflation that would then push the property taxes outrageously, because the property taxes do not reflect inflation in any way. And that's why the property taxes are higher. If we go back to the republic and back to sound money, where the sound money system controls and can't be inflated, then the property taxes would be brought down to a very manageable level. It's like your income tax. When they came up with the income tax, they decided that anybody that made $2,000 in their lifetime or during the year would not pay an income tax. Okay. Well, anybody over that, and certainly if you make $100,000 a year, then you would be considered wealthy, and you would be taxed with an income tax. So what happened back when they passed the tax? People were making $2,000 or less than that a year, and they weren't paying any income tax. But as inflation took over, you became wealthy. you don't know that you're wealthy, do you? Because
Mm-hmm.
$100,000 today is barely making it. In fact, you can't even buy a house nowadays for under $250,000. That looks like a house and not a shack. So your wages have quadrupled, and because now you're all wealthy, now you all pay an income tax. It's because of the funny money system that was not allowed to be brought on board to begin with. We have to get rid of the bankers and the banking system and the inflation, and things will be brought under control. Axe my tax is a joke, because axe my tax isn't going to do anything. It's even if they chop off property tax and we still have inflation, they're going to find another way to
That's
raise.
exactly my point on this, because it doesn't go to the causative properties of what's really going on right now. It's all of this surface level stuff that keeps people busy rather than getting the real work done. You know, if people actually supported free and fair elections, and we got normal people on there, not just people that are part of the political industry where they're selected and they're vetted before they can even get on the ballot, that we would actually be able to fix this. But because everybody's running around looking at this nonsense out there and being divided, honestly, the class war and the war over money, you need to hate that person because they have money, really? And we need to have these policies to even the playing field. Well, what happens about, why is that a thing? Why are we not equal under the law? Why is this not a blind justice? Maybe they just worked harder. Maybe they stole. We don't know. We don't really know. But to demonize somebody just based on what they do, if somebody goes to school for 8 years to be a doctor, well, of course they should make more money than somebody who's a Walmart greeter. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. We thought that is an investment. It's a tremendous investment in time in order to learn in order to learn special skills. I mean, if you're investing in yourself, you're worth more. And right. as a producer, and I don't, not as a person, but as a skill. Just like I believe that somebody goes to trade school. Plumbers, they're making more than most people coming out of the universities. You want to make money, go be a plumber or an electrician or something. Those guys are making pretty decent money. And if they're smart enough to start a business and be able to be like a function as a businesses, we shouldn't say, oh, well, you made this much money, you should be paying for this, that, and the other thing. Why should they be paying for somebody's sorry behind sitting at home in their parents' basement playing on the computer all day long, playing games, or somebody digging in the dirt, or somebody picking up the garbage? People that are actually doing work instead of thinking about it, getting the rent subsidies and everything else. I mean, this stuff needs to be turned around.
Well, the only way it's going to be turned around is getting rid of the funny money system.
The only way it's going to be turned around is to get good people in office. That isn't
going to happen, because as long as the government can print money and take property from people by this printed money business, they're going to control a lot of people. There's a lot of greedy people out there.
Oh, the whole thing is a big organized crime syndicate is what's going on. And it's extortion and such. So we got to keep going and trying everything that we can get our hands around to see if we can break through somewhere and do a little bit of organized crime network damage on them in some form or another in a legal way. But I think that's what we're trying to do. I'm not talking, nobody out there get stupid and go grab your torches and pitchforks and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about grabbing and knowing how this actually works and finding a way to make the people who are in charge of this crime syndicate, who have our judges bought, our prosecutors bought, the court systems bought, it's all bought. The political parties are bought. Every part of this is bought and owned. So now, how do you fight back with that? Well, you get educated, you figure out what the law is, and you never stop.
It's all bought with the fake money.
Well, I tell you,
to end the fake money system.
But there's methods to do that. And I was talking to somebody last night about what one of my protests are. I've got a couple of protests, and believe it or not, I do everything in an intentional way. Every single thing is intentional for me. And I'll make decisions to, in fact, there's actually a very easy way to break that system. It's a real easy way to break that system. And I'm gonna have to honestly put some time into how to present this to everybody, because once I drop it, it's going to have to be something that every single person out there decides to just say, you know what, we're going to do this. But everybody is so afraid to get on board with anything that they sit back and they don't do anything, because it's like, well, I don't trust that person. And this person said that one, it said this or that. It's like, yeah, because the person talking to you is a political operative and they're part of this crime syndicate that's going on. They have infiltrated all the way from top to bottom. And if the grassroots don't think that they're infiltrated, go drink some more Kool-Aid. They're everywhere. They're in the churches. They're in the grassroots group. And you don't need to be paranoid, but be smart enough to think about what they're saying and go, why would a person say this? Why would they do this? Why would they arrest Ryan Kelly? Think about this. Why would they arrest Ryan Kelly in a van that's kind of their own damn van? Why would they do this? Why would they show up downtown Grand Rapids with the same people that over and over, it was about 12 people, wasn't an arrest, and it was arraignment, and he knew 2 days ahead of time. Why would they do this? And nobody's thinking, because, well, we don't want to speak out about the grassroots, because grassroots. Well, we don't want to speak about Christianity because Christianity, or the Jews, Anti-Defamation League, come on in. Let's go ahead and have a discussion here because the Jews. And it's like, are we really looking at this with a full deck of cards here? My answer is no, because it's just like the Holocaust. Did it happen? Yeah, it happened. Did it happen the way they said it happened? Not exactly. There were Christians. There were 5 million Christians killed. There were 6 million Jews. There were gypsies killed. There were all these people killed. And we're focused on the Jews. Why? Because they want us to focus on that. And now we got a protected class of people, so we can't even call out the evil that we see under any class out there whatsoever. And so I'm kind of like, you know, wanting to go down all this, because we've got to figure out exact steps of how to do this. And people are going to have to decide, you know what, we're going to act as we the people. We're going to take it back, and this is how we're going to do it, and not get on these rabbit trails into Stupidville by headlines. That's what happened with Proposal 1, 2, and 3. Michigan was on the fast track to Stupidville, and falling in line because of the headlines, instead of getting behind it and finding out and having discussions with concrete evidence, line, article, section, so that we can talk about it. And that's what I love going through things with you, because you actually will call things out, and you know pretty much where to put your finger on it. So I don't know. Donna ran over. So anyway, maybe for a while.
Back to the democracy.
Yeah, the democracy. Let's talk about the stupid democracy again. This is a IQ test of seeing who the idiots are out there.
That's the problem that we have. They're trying to push a democracy on us. A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people still think we have a democracy. We have a republic.
And what's confusing is that there are parts of the way it functions that it is a democracy in certain areas. Like if you have a local candidate, well, hold on, just listen a minute. If you have a local candidate who is running against somebody local, it is the majority rules in that situation to vote for the candidate in a local election. That's Democrat. It really is, because the number of votes choose that person. And so on a local level, and so this is what they do. This is how they twist it, because it's just like Satan twisting things. They'll twist it where there's just a little bit of truth in it, and then they apply it to the broad function of the United States. And that's where they get in the weeds. So
and it's a democratic process.
It's a democratic process, and then they take that.
Democracy.
Exactly. But what they do is they put a little bit in there, and then they just twist it just a little bit. And everybody goes, oh yeah, we want the majority to win. And they run after that headline instead of going in and figuring out what's really being said.
And
So
that's my
we do need to move back to this letter because I know people are waiting for this, and we're on the Donna and John rabbit trail here. So
that's why we have to talk republic.
Yeah.
That's why everything has to be republic. We are a nation of rules of laws.
And structure. You have to have structure.
Right. In a democracy, it's rule of man.
It's chaos.
By rule of law. So
it's chaos. It's mob rule. Yes. Absolutely mob rule. Okay, let's get into the letter, John. We were moving on this. So let's.
All right. This again is a rough draft. It's not finalized. I'm looking for people that might have some input, if they have any input, or if I've forgotten something that they might want to add into this. But let's do the letter. Dear public functionary, the election of 2020 has proven over the past few years to be a fraud upon the citizens of the state of Michigan. The lack of accuracy and integrity, by the way, that comes right out of the Constitution, Michigan Constitution. The lack of accuracy and integrity, that's why it's in quotes, of the election process has prescribed by Article 2, Section 4, Paragraph H of the Michigan Constitution of 1963 has been brought into question with the lack of a, quote, forensic audit, unquote, a forensic, quote, unquote, audit. The results of a statewide election audit, which is what they require by the Constitution in that same section, has demonstrated your usurpation of authority and your violation of your oath of office. Notice it's usurpation of authority, not overreach. Overreach doesn't exist in a republic. Usurpation does. Of the authority and your violation of your oath of office, which also exists in a republic. Article 11, Section 1 of the state constitution. Remember that acts of usurpation are viewed as acts of treason against the United States Constitution. See attachment of the following excerpts, Title 115, Section 2381, treason. And then I list them. Only the pertinent part, and it's not that the rest of the act is not important, but I want to, take the hammer and hit the nail right on the head rather than kind of go around the bush. You got to expect that the public functionaries that sit in these offices that are going to read these letters, if you give them a whole paragraph, they may not read it. But if you give them a sentence or two that really points out what you're trying to drive at, they'll pay attention to that.
Well, it's like they don't read the acts, and that's how they obfuscate the truth, because they make these laws and such that they're putting into place. They don't read it. They just go down it. And so you got to remember, we're talking like low IQ people sitting in the political seats there. And so they're going to be talking slowly and use small words when you talk to them, because that they're in there for self-gain. And so all they think about is how to manipulate things to self-enrich. So you really have to use, like I said, talk slowly and use small words.
Misprision of treason, whoever owning allegiance to the United States, and that means swore an oath to the Constitution, and having knowledge of the commission of any treason against them, misprision of treason, acts of violation of their oath of office, a violation of articles of the Michigan Constitution, are exactly acts of usurpation. I had to spell it out for them so they see that, so they know where I'm coming from. Rebellion or insurrection. Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof. And obviously, anybody that was involved in the 2020 election that was clandestine or under the cover of darkness, those people are involved in rebellion or insurrection. And this includes those people that put pizza boxes up against the windows at the TFC Center. Those people
TCF.
are involved. TCF. Okay, I'm sorry. Those people are involved in rebellion or insurrection because they were involved in insurrection against the authority of the United States. Acts of rigging elections, which results in the overthrow of a duly elected public functionary, is an act of rebellion or insurrection.
Man, I love this, John. You did a beautiful job on this. This is so well written.
Well, thank you. I guess that's all I can say. Sedition conspiracy. If two or more persons in any state or territory or any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspires to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force, we'll stop here for a second, January 6th, people, by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law. Hey, how about the postponement of the counting of the election ballots of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof. Therefore, an act of two or more persons conspiring to overthrow the elected public functionary through the illegal election process is guilty of seditious conspiracy.
Man, we can take this and apply this not to the electronic voting machines, but to so many other things.
Oh, yes, that's what it is for.
Yeah, it's a template.
Not only the voting machines. The voting machines is a joke, but there were a lot of other things going on, such as ballot harvesting, such as drop boxes, such as postponing the count so they could add more ballots to the election. All that stuff fits under this.
Okay, let's keep going.
We didn't want to leave anything out here.
Yep.
Whoever knowingly or willfully advocates advises or teaches the duty, necessary, disability, or desirability or property of overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States or the government of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof, or the government of any political subdivision thereof, by force or violence, or by a assassination of any officer of any such government. Now, who was the government in charge during the so-called, quote, insurrection?
During the insurrection?
Who was the president?
President Trump.
Yeah. How can you have a insurrection against the resident, Biden, if he's not in office? The insurrection was against Trump. So how could the January 6 people be locked up for violating insurrection laws because Trump was the president? This is ass backwards.
Either way, it's correct.
So people that believe in any possibility that the January 6 people were involved in an insurrection, I don't know whether there must be sitting on their brains.
Oh my gosh. And you want to know something? I feel like I've missed that entirely, because there you go. It's like I didn't even necessarily put that in that concrete way together, that the insurrection, anything that happened there was against President Trump. Therefore, the ones that incited it, like the people that were pushing grandmas downstairs and such to try to get the guys to react, they were provocateurs, and they were absolutely provoking the crowd to action.
Yes. So, but the actual overthrow of a government, Trump was the government. So how could Trump push forth an insurrection?
It was Pelosi, Schumer, and the Capitol Police that were behind most of this.
Yes, and how could Trump overthrow his own government?
And how is it that Pelosi, because he wanted to have the National Guard there, how is it that Pelosi and everybody just disregarded his directives?
Well,
answer me that. They disregarded what he said to do.
This whole thing was a clown show.
Sure was.
And we bought into it. Well, I didn't buy into it, but a lot of people bought into it. A lot of people think that this was, in fact, an insurrection. This wasn't an insurrection. This was a faction of criminals trying to get rid of Trump. That's what it was all about. Create a coup d'etat, which is a government trying to take over another government illegally through an illegal process, which is
before we go on, I want to say we'll go to the chat as soon as we get down here a little bit, because we've got a lot of messages in the chat right now. So let's keep going.
Okay. The use of the Dominion machines has been authorized by the Michigan Constitution of 1963.
Has not been authorized.
Not been authorized by the Michigan Constitution of 1963. And if you go to Norton says if it's not in the Constitution, it doesn't exist. Okay. In Michigan Constitution of 1963, nor has the technique of ballot harvesting, drop boxes, or delay of elections. In fact, the Michigan Constitution specifically specifies in Article 2, Section 5, under time of election, all elections for national, state, county, and township offices shall be held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, not the week of, not the month of, not anything but the 24 hours of that Tuesday after the first Monday. That's what the Constitution says. Anything outside of that is illegal.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question here. What if somebody says that the legislature can run elections at their discretion?
Not if it's spelled out in the Constitution, unless they amend the Constitution.
No, it's they do not have the ability to run the elections at their discretion, because there's rails, there's policies that they have to follow. They can't just jump off ship and say, well, we're just going to make policies up on the fly and do whatever they want. They can't do that.
Of course not. Well, here I'm saying that if it's not in the Constitution, they don't have authority. Where's the authority come from for the legislature to act or for the executive branch to act? From the Constitution. They swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
It's the operating agreement. The Constitution is the operating agreement that they're swearing an oath to.
That's right.
And they can't be in conflict with the operating. No corporation could work that way to be in conflict with the operating agreement.
That's right.
And that's what they're violating right there. That's part of it. They've got more than that violation, but that's one of them.
Time of election, one day, Tuesday, day after the first Monday of the month, on November. That's what is spelled out in the Constitution. That's why it's written there. That's why I put it in the letter, because the public functionaries who sit in legislature, most of them are not very intelligent. I'll be nice to them at this moment. They're all ignorant. They haven't read the Constitution. They don't know what the Constitution says. They should have stopped immediately when the executive branch was trying to do this. They should have stopped it. But
okay, let's go on.
Okay. Nowhere does it authorize the extended period of time for ballot counting as was carried out by the fraudulent fake election of 2020 and 2022. Probably many elections before that. The usurpation of usurpers involved in the violation of the fundamental rights have committed acts of treason, and the Dominion machines were the vehicle to allow this to happen.
So I want to go back before we put this letter out. We want to correct that, and we want to make sure that we say the Dominion machines. We might want to say all electronic machines, all electronic voting machines.
Yeah, okay. That's why this is a rough draft. Right?
Yeah, so this is why I haven't posted this yet, guys, because we don't want to put something out there that's half-cocked that a political operative will take and go and distribute this, because this is what they'll do. They'll grab a hold of this letter and they will change it in some form or another, or they will take something out that's half-cocked and not finished and start spewing this all over the place to get everybody confused. And until this thing is done, I'm not going to post it, because I think it's a really bad idea because this is how it would be co-opted.
As Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company versus Oregon, and the site is there, has stated that political power rests entirely with the legislature, and that the legislature does not have any authority. Here we go again. Authority is their ability or their right to transfer its duties to another branch of government or to a private concern, i.e. Dominion machines or all other electronic devices. The Michigan legislature carelessly and abusively transferred their duty by handing the responsibility of their election to the executive branch, and therefore usurped authority never granted to them. They cannot transfer their responsibility to other branches or departments of government for any reason without the consent of the people. Not only did they usurp authority never granted, but the executive branch usurped authority for accepting such duty. So you got two branches of government here that are violating the republic. And then I go on to state further, quoting from Pacific State. By the way, Pacific State is a Supreme Court decision, and Supreme Court decisions are the law in this country. To inquire whether a tribunal exists and its character. In that, I couldn't do it any other way. In doing this, it points out that owning to the inherent political characters of such a question, the decision was not by the Constitution vested in the judicial department of the government, but was, on the contrary, exclusively committed to the legislative department, by whom acts of such subject and jurisdiction were absolutely controlled. And here we go to who are those guys, the trumpet players that took the thing to the Supreme Court?
Lloyd Bronson.
Yeah, the Bronsons. And we tried to point this out to them. They showed up one day, but they never came back. So here we're showing them that the judicial power, part of government, the third branch, the judicial part of government deals with the law. The executive or the legislative branch deals with politics, because then we have control of the political system because we control our legislature, supposedly. Obviously, we have a bunch of criminals, legislators in Michigan and Washington that we don't control because they are funded by Soros with the funny money system, with the fake system, and they're all fake. And they're doing damage to us, but we have to get rid of the fake system in order for that to stop. Furthermore,
do you want me to read a little bit? Because hang on a second. I had a couple. I try to answer in the chat here. Rob is on again. Hawk says, "Good morning, Donna from New Mexico." Hi, Hawks. I said. Jolly Rogers said. Okay, Jolly Rogers said. Hold on, let me go back around. I got a newspaper in the mail yesterday, Michigan Independent. I opened it, then read it, and it was a mailer to my wife. I said, "Baby, when did you declare you're a commie?" And she laughed. It's in the trash. So yeah, I got that same Independent yesterday too. I was kind of laughing. So Rob says pull it now, work on it, then take it to final draft. We can do the rest when the time comes. Trump's team could use this for every county, township, and city to be used right before Election Day. Well, the plan is to get it out there across the state, and we just have to work right. Rob says there's 3 election machines in Michigan, not just Dominion, and I agree with that. We can't just point out Dominion. It's got to be all of them, including the other machines, and we might want to name them all by names. Okay. And so that's something that we have to smooth out. But thank you, Rob, for that. So okay, let's continue on. And would you like me to read for a little bit? This is a lot of reading. Would you want to switch out?
All right, go ahead.
Furthermore, A, dereliction of the legislature's job description, making each and every member of the legislature guilty of treasonous acts. It's absolutely true. And we can, at a township level, put the township in that camp.
Sure, wherever we want to. I mean, if you take your red magic marker and make notes, I'll adjust the letter.
I would like to have one that addresses the legislature, and I would like to have one that addresses the townships. Okay. When we get done with this, I'd like to have 2 different letters written and completed that go in both those directions. So okay. Let's keep going. In order to return to sanity, it is the duty of each and every public functionary to return to a one-day election, remove ballot harvesting, ballot drop boxes, and above all, remove the Dominion in all machines, all 3 of them. Yeah, failure to do so will result in countless lawsuits, both civil and criminal, against all of the public functionaries involved in the greatest scam perpetrated upon the public. Note, none of you are immune from prosecution because you stepped outside your de jure duties. See Norton versus Shelby County. The attempt of the state officer to enforce an unconstitutional statute is a proceeding without authority of and does not affect the state in its sovereign or governmental capacity, and is an illegal act, and the officer is stripped of his official character and is subject in his person to the consequences of his individual conduct. The state has no power to impart to its officer immunity from responsibility to the supreme authority of the United States. I expect that now you have been alerted to the fraud that you have been involved in, been involved in has come to light, and that you can no longer claim plausible deniability. You will stand up and correct the problems mentioned above, and with great expedience and publicly announce your intentions to fix the election fraud that you had your hand in. Thank you in advance. Looking forward to your response. Now, here's a question. This is giving them notice and giving them a chance to, in fact, correct the actions, their criminal intentions or actions they were involved in.
I got somebody at the door. Keep going.
Okay, hang on a minute. So is it something that, here, I'm going to let John go back here. You know what? We're going to take a break, and I'm going to read the chat here, because the question is can we remove them based on what they've already done immediately, or should we give them a chance to change or remediate what they've done? So anyhow, let's go to the chat here a minute. Let John finish business. Does the word insurrection need to be used? It will be used against everyone associated with the Republican Trump ticket. Well, they changed the definition, so we're just gonna claw it back. This is like being in a war where they took a little bit of territory, and now it's time for us to take it back. And I think that might be John's answer, but we'll wait till he comes back and ask them. I ask this because council members are idiots. True story. City and township council people are idiots and think insurrection equals Trump. Well, we may need to state that the insurrection came from within the townships, as well as the counties, as well as the state and the legislatures involved in this. There are 3 election machines in Michigan, not just Dominion, from Rob. So I'm going to go back to this. Does the word insurrection need to be used? It will be used against anyone associated with Republican Trump ticket. And I said, we just need to claw this term back. This is like a war. They took it. We're going to take it back and define it and let them know that they are the insurrectionists, which overstepped their authority. And thereby we are putting them on notice. Now, the question I have is, can we not only, this is giving them a chance to remedy the situation that they screwed up, okay, the way we're approaching this. But we could also go at them directly and say, have grounds to remove them. But if we do it lawfully and give them a chance to remediate their problems, we can get this problem solved probably quicker and easier than going after all of them to remove them from office. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with you.
Okay, so this is a step and a way to do this, but I do believe that we have grounds to remove them immediately because they broke the law. They committed treason. But we need to get these stupid machines removed, and every single person out there needs to run for office to fill the position so we can remove them at the point of voting. If we have the voting machines out of there so that we know that our votes are actually counted, and we don't even need to do the whole state. We need to be a disruptor to the process in several areas. That I think if we have a warning out there that we're coming and we're going to do it in a legal way, I think there's a lot of people that are just going to step down. I really do. But then we've got to have every single person out there saying, you know what, we're willing to step up and go at this, arm in arm as we the people. But it's going to take everybody out there to say, you know what, it's my time. Just tap me right now. And I'm going to run for office. I'm willing to do this, because we can pull this thing back into shape pretty quickly if we have some good people that just want to see things done right. So let's see. And then Rob says, pull it now, work on it, then take it to final draft. Then we can do the rest when the time comes. Well, we're going to continue working on it. So we'll see. So Rob can't come on today. Sorry, I wish you could come on today. Charlotte said, dumb clowns are for themselves. They want to tax us to death with union dues, plastic bag tax, take all the power away from the press, property owners, and local community zoning and voting away national votes. I agree with that. The government has gone after taxing we the people to death so they can funnel it back to their lobbyist groups and campaign coup. They all should be removed, and we need to write the new laws. I agree with that. And one way that we can do that is to interrupt their selection process with an actual election and get rid of the machines. We got a chance. And
wait, stop. We don't have to write new laws. We have to go back to the Republic.
Did I say that? If I said that, I missed that. We need to write things so that we can have good people in office. We cannot do this unless we have a corrected, lawful process of people getting into office. When we stand for that, we are standing for we the people and every single person's vote, because on that one moment in time, we all should have one equal vote that counts, and every single one of them needs to be counted. And you can't tell me that we can't get this process where every single vote counts and that we can do it in a lawful manner. I don't believe this. I believe we can have a zero tolerance on this and make this work, but it's going to have to be aborting the issue on the machines. So should this be carried out in townships on the week of elections? Don't give them to mount an offense. I don't think it matters when we do it. We need to remove them, and we need to remove them. If we can remove them now, that's great, because then we've got a chance to honestly, it would stop. I think it would stop the entire election if we did it a week before. And so I think this isn't a bad idea to just get in there and do it. So anyhow, let's read a couple more things here. You must not care what the people think and do what your spirit is telling you. Damn the torpedoes moment for sure. Oh, for sure. Michigan government is corrupt. Yeah, you can't think of what other people think of what your opinions are. You've got to stand in what God puts in your heart, what you know is right. Because even a good person can lead you astray, and they may not even know they're doing it. They may think they're doing the right thing, and they may have been fed some bad information by political operatives. And that happens all the time. Grassroots. But we've got people in there that are absolutely behaving like FBI and the feds. Just keep your eyes open. And if they, you've got to really watch not necessarily what they're saying alone, but what they're saying, how they're saying it, and look at what do they have to gain by saying what they're saying. Because most people have a reason why they're saying it. There's a intention, and you've got to sort of dig down into it and say, well, I can't maybe put my finger on this exactly, but I can tell you their intention is probably in this direction based on patterns and based on what they're really about. It has a lot more to do with your intuition on a situation, because you may not even be able to rationalize it, but you may be able to pick it up on something going, something just doesn't feel right. And then if you dig down on it, you'll find more things that will corroborate how you're feeling. Sometimes not. Sometimes it takes a while, but you got to trust yourself on saying, yeah, I don't really, and you don't have to go after the person, because it may be a good person that's been manipulated. There's this, the most of the state can fall underneath that in the political realm. So anyhow, yes, D1996 billboard says democracy or dictatorship crap with boxing gloves on it. They're such clowns. And the national popular vote, they want to remove constitutional 23 away, like they haven't damaged 1 through 10 amendments so far. So why not go after Amendment 23 and take it to, I need a little bit more clarity thought there, but I think I know your direction you're going. No chips or modems, online internet device of any kind, one-day voting, paper ballot, hand count, COVID clown world never, and agree, John, the Republic form of government. So there you go. So okay, let's go back to anything else that we want to go on with this. So I'm glad we went through this. So we've got a few more things to fix in the letter. We need to include all 3 electronic voting machines and spell them out as electronic voting machines, with maybe in parentheses after that Dominion and then the other two machines that they're using.
I don't have a problem with that. I just didn't know what the other machines were called.
Okay, and so this letter is going towards the legislature. That's the intention of this legislature, which is good. I want to see that done. But then we also have to put something in there.
This goes to the executive branch too.
Executive branch. But I want to see one that specifically calls it out at the township level, so that we have one for the legislature and one for the township level for the clerks and the township councils and such. That's another thing that I think we need to have. So next week we'll work on that a little bit, because I think that's the direction we need to go.
I don't know why we would just put their name there. If you have a township person, you just address it to Joe Jones is the township is one of the representatives.
Oh, there you go. That's what it is right there.
Because it's the same letter.
Okay, this is what we need to do, is we need to have a template or something that we can write in every single name of the people that are on the township boards, the zoning boards, maybe. Well, this is not the zoning board specific. We'll go into another direction in that one. So we're going to continue to make these letters out, guys, because we're going to give you everything that we can, that we believe is a way. And if you feel like this is something that God's leading you into, then we'll be able to go in that direction. So I just want to let everybody know that we're going to continue to producing materials like this, so that we can in fact help go after this. So I love this idea. The clerk, the township councils, the people that had one little finger of interaction on this at the township level, and we're going to call them out by name.
That's
Genius.
right.
Genius.
You gotta call them out by name, because if you're going to go after that person in court, you have to have addressed the issue first administratively, and that's what we're doing.
John's a genius. I love it.
You have to address the individual, and then you can sue that individual. So that's what this is all about. That's why I put a 2 and I didn't put who we're sending it to. So you can send it to the legislator, you could send it to the executive, you could send it to the township mayor, to the governor, to whoever you want, individual. And it's the same law, applies to everybody.
Okay, so what I think I'm going to do here, I had a call interrupt my feed here on one of the
By
screens.
the
I only
way-
have 4 of them, so who would, who knew? I
By,
have.
by the way, you can add, you could put 12 people on the same letter. Just put 2.
You could put 360 people on this letter if you had them. It's like anyone that had their little finger attached to these machines and everything. Let's call them out. And so here's your homework today, everyone. Get the names of everyone in your township that you can, the township council or the municipal board or whatever it is, and get their names so that you're ready when this thing is done. Don't start it now. I mean, we're not done with this yet. So wait, that's why I didn't post it. Wait till we are absolutely loaded for bear on this thing. And city, right? City too, township, city. You could even do it at the county level too, and then the So we're going to move, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. We'll have a Zoom meeting with everyone out there that wants to jump on this across the state, and we will create a structure so that we can get people who are true patriots on board. And you're going to be vetted, because Donna Brandenburg will look into the background of every single person coming forward. We're not going to allow these political hacks to get in here and hijack it, because I actually have the ability, and I know people who will dig into the backgrounds of people at a beast level to find out if they're all, I don't know, connected to the State Department, there's somebody running for office right now, and this person's political consultant works for the State Department. Oh, this is going to be fun to kick out there. And so when we get all of this put together, we're going to know who's standing there, if they're connected to the deep state, how they're connected to the deep state, and drag them out in the sun for absolutely an absolutely brutal scrutiny, so that we know, do you actually have somebody that's in your camp, Mr. Markey, that works for the State Department? You're screwed, because this stuff is going to get out in the open. You're going to have other connections with people who and addresses of people who are working with, and maybe you've done the wrong thing. Axe my tax. You're screwed. We're going to throw this thing right out in the light, and there's going to be nowhere to hide. And then we can go in and we can actually make this work with we the people. But if somebody's a political operative, I would suggest right now, you might decide to turn and run with your tail between your legs, because the absolute brutal scrutiny and legal beating you're going to take is one you're not going to soon forget. And so this is what we're going to do, Rob. So just so that everybody knows. So everybody out there that's a true patriot wants to stand in this and work forward. Guess what? Keep going. We're not going to go after people that are not tied into this deep state. There's no fear here. There's no fear. But anyone that we can tie back to the State Department, it's going to be a fun day. And find the connections, just like the Capitol Police and the J6 insurrection. They need to throw out every single one of those communications that was had that day and see what was actually being said. They have the ability to do it, and Elon Musk needs to release some of this stuff for transparency. We are in a criminal investigation of our government right now. And we're not going to stop until every last stone is turned over, and it's going to be epic. So if the people that are sitting in the seats are shaking in their boots a little bit, probably good. The panic is a good thing. So the rest of us, we're going to move forward, and you know what? We're going to protect our friends and family, and it's going to be fun.
As John F. Kennedy once put it, there is no place in a republic for secrecy.
None. Only trans we need to see right now is transparency. This whole trans thing on Easter with the I don't remember which building they lit up, if it was the White House or the Capitol, with purple, so that they could celebrate trans on Easter. How about we celebrate transparency? You know, as Ivan Raiklin says. He's a genius. I love Ivan. You know, it's so amazing to talk to people such as yourself, and all of a sudden those aha moments happen. And it's not just one. It's like, and this is why our government, and it's supposed to be working. Every single person out there that's writing in the chat right now, I got to tell you, I'm thankful because you're teaching me stuff every single day. I can put things out there, and you're teaching John, and you're teaching Rob, and you're teaching all these people that are listening the things that you see on the ground, what you see from your perspective. And it's like we're seeing it from all these different angles, and nobody has all the answers. But together, when we work together and you bring forward what you know, and this person brings forward what they know, and we have people that are willing to listen to you in order to listen to the things you know, that's when we become, or when we enter the boss level. If let's just say that politics is a game, and there's game theory going on all the time. Once we stand together and we look at each other and go, not trying to take this spotlight, but say, push this person out, say, tell everyone what you know. You're important. What you have to say is important. We can't look at it from your perspective, but we can give you a voice, and we can listen to you, and we can absolutely find those nuggets of wisdom wherever it is. That's why we talk to everyone. And it's an important exercise to not crucify people, but listen to what they say and have a discussion on the content of what's coming out of their mouths. And when we do that, we can take this nation back, and it will be a beautiful thing. Not going after each other, because nobody knows everything. There's days where I'm the supreme idiot on the planet, because we're talking on a subject that I may have this much knowledge on, but I'm willing to listen to it and try to figure out what's going on there. Same thing with John. Same thing with everyone that's out there. We listen to you, and what you have to say is important. That's the way it's supposed to work. And I'm not even a politician. I ran, but I didn't get in. So I never worked for the government. I never worked for anything. I just try to get in there and chip things away. That's exactly what's happening on the outside with everybody there. Don't be afraid to step forward. Don't be afraid to get in this fight. Don't be afraid to vote or run for office or get in front of that township board. It's going to take every one of us, and we have to ask God himself, because he will give us the strength. He will give us the words. He will give us the ability to stand in the front of these liars that are destroying this nation. You will be given everything you need going forward. You don't have to be afraid. Walk forward boldly, saying, they're in the wrong. And God's going to hand this over. He's going to hand them over to their corruption, and it's not going to work well for them. And it's going to be a glorious thing. And I think this is just spectacular where this is going. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades, probably hundreds of years. Probably thousands of years this has been going on with this corrupt group of people who are absolutely bought in to absolute evil. And so we're here to defend our families, our God family and country, the children, the election systems, and each and every voice out there needs to have an equal representation for what's important to you. And I will stand on that. Watch me get crucified for this. This is going to be the next one coming. They're going to go after me again for this. Like, oh no, you hear what Brandenburg said? Well, shove it. I'm going to say it. And it's the way it is. My opinion. And I'm not going to be silenced. So, and you shouldn't be either, but don't go after people, go after facts. So there we go. Anything else you want to discuss on this?
On the letter, if there's anything else anybody thinks that should be added to it other than the other machines, let them send you a message or an email, or show up on my Wednesday night Zoom, and you can address it there too. This is not only a Donna Brandenburg letter. This belongs to anybody and everybody.
We're doing this for everyone out there. This is not, I'm not selling this. John's not selling this. We volunteer our time. Nobody's making money. I've lost a ton of money because I'm paying for this side of it with no donations, no help from anybody. I haven't asked people for a dime for this. And John and I are doing this to try to help equip everyone with a way to go forward and act and help take this nation back. It's going to take all of us. But there's no money that's being exchanged here. None, zero, zip, nada.
Understand that that the laws of the republic are supporting us, not the government. They've always supported us, not the government. And if you know the law, if you know your rights, then you'll be able to enforce them. And if you don't know your rights, you can't. And I can't tell you how many people call me during the week saying, you know, I got this problem. And I say, where have you been? You're 60 years old, 70 years old, 50 years old, and you don't know anything of what you're doing. And so you trust in the political system and or the legal system, which is the bar, and you run out and hire an attorney, and they shaft you for it and take thousands of dollars for it, and you don't even know it. You didn't even know that that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Well, that's the really sad thing. And the thing of it is we don't think anybody's stupid for not knowing this information. I didn't know it, until a certain point in my life. We all have to come to this awakening at our own time. And I'm going to tell you what, any of us that have gone through this, that didn't have somebody like John as a teacher who went through the military, who knew these processes when we were younger, we're playing catch up. And, we're doing the best we can to move forward and do what we can do now. So we educate ourselves now. Every day, I learn something new every single day. And I'll just sit there and go, why didn't I know this before? Because I didn't. And so you can't spend any time beating yourself up, or even for us beating anybody up, because, it's like people that don't know, they only know what they know when they know it. Okay. And that doesn't make you stupid. It means that we can say, wow, I never knew that. And then go forward and with deep gratitude, thank each person for bringing to the table what they know, and just ponder with that, well, I'm going to ponder this. I'm not going to just jump on this and such. It's ponder what people are saying without reaction. Listen for information. And there may not be a direct line to what the intention is, but they may drop a nugget that takes you just a little bit off to the right side. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what about this? And then going, hang on a second. I've got a feeling that somebody wants to get on that was on the chat. So hang on one second. Let's see. Hello, this is Donna. No. Not on the chat. Bad call. We're fake news, fake call, all that kind of stuff. But the point being is that we listen for information so that we can have those aha moments. It doesn't mean you're stupid to have an aha moment. We should embrace that. Like the aha moment this morning was, I didn't even really think about the fact that President Trump was, and I should have had that in my head at the beginning of the discussion, that he was president of the United States at that moment, and how significant that is. It's not being talked about. None of us. I haven't talked about it. My bad, because I didn't put it together. And, it's like all of these things that we don't put together, like John putting the Dominion machine in there, and the aha moment. We've got more than that. We need to go back and correct this. And that's a beautiful process. It means you are smart because you're waking up every single day, and be encouraged this day. Everybody that's out there and listening to this channel, I can tell you what, we probably have the smartest audience out there, because listen to the questions. The questions are beautiful. And what a beautiful group of people. Charlotte, Rob, Leb, Hawks. I mean, I can name so many people that are on here that are true patriots, that are standing with this nation in every single day, listening to what's going on here and being willing to help. I'm so proud of all you. I really am. And it's a beautiful thing to watch this emerge. I mean, it started out slow years and years and years ago, but now look where we are. Look how much we know. It's amazing. So love you guys all. Love you a lot. So does John. And so does John. John loves you too. So anything else you want to talk about before we close her down today?
No, I wanted to go over some of the Constitution, but we could do that next week.
Well, we can. I got another half hour if you want to go there and such.
we were looking at the executive branch.
Okay, hang on a minute. All right, we're gonna jump off this just a minute. You can, and we'll come back to this. This is our focus right now, is having everybody have something in their hands that they can go forward with. And there may be different. It's just like in any war. You have different people with different weapons of war that they use. Some people may go in this direction. Some people may go in that direction. Some people can go in this direction. Doesn't mean any of those directions are wrong, but they kind of can work together to have a really unified front. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing. Okay, so Constitution of the United States or Michigan?
No, Fed. We got to do the Michigan Constitution eventually because we have to, but
we should go forward to negate that one too. We could go back and negate that little puppy in the same process, because this process will work on many, many, many different trajectories.
Okay, let's go to this Article 2, Section 1. And I'm looking at, in case of removal of the president from office. I got to go a little further, and I can't read your writing, so I've got my Constitution open here.
There you go, right there.
Yeah, is that it? You got it?
Yeah.
Now, my question is this: why do we have the 25th Amendment?
To remove someone.
Well, what does this say?
In case of the removal of the president from office or his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide a case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both the president and the vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected.
My question is, do you know what the 25th Amendment is, right?
Yeah.
That's to remove the president. Why would we have needed that when it's right here?
Well, and that's a really good point, because we've got so many laws on the books that just need to go through nullification. You know, they don't need to be there. I firmly believe that the Equal Rights Amendment, for women, I think that's a stupid amendment.
Well, of course,
didn't need to be said. I'm going to tell you what, my grandma, if you would have met my grandma, she took no guff from anybody, and I'm going to tell you what, she was a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think she needed any amendment, but somebody who would be able to argue the law and what was there. And it's just like the man or woman thing. Man is like mankind as the reference. It's not man or woman. Half the population can't even figure out what a man or woman is. And so the overarching term is mankind.
Exactly. But, we're getting into this a proper pronoun nonsense. There is the man, when this Constitution was written, and they used the terminology of man, it was not to eliminate women or blacks or Hispanics or any of the other nationalities. We all fall under it was a generic name that was being used rather than saying we're saying the man. So,
well, they were trying to divide us all the way back then. I mean, right. This was absolutely a coordinated effort to say, no, this is man. And then they got stupid people to go, yes. We got to differentiate between man and woman. And, in this regard, we can't differentiate it anywhere else. And then, instead of arguing that the point is that it's mankind, not man and woman.
Now jump to the 25th Amendment. We've already read that little clause in Article 2.
I don't really have a really good
you don't have
up here. Oh, hang on, I can get to it. Let me
go back to where we were.
Okay, I can get to it. Just takes me a minute. I got to click around to find it because I don't have a really good.
You don't have.
Okay, I can get to it. Just takes me a minute. I got to click around to find it because I don't have a really good. Okay, I can get to it. Just takes me a minute. I got to click around to find it because I don't have a really good.
Go back.
What happens to me is if I get one of these things up there.
Stop where we were. Okay.
The print gets so small nobody can read it.
Here's the 25th Amendment. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Isn't that what that says, basically?
Yeah.
Do we have to spell it out word by word or letter by letter in order for it to make sense? Whenever there's a vacancy in the office of the vice president or the president shall nominate the vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by the majority vote of the House of Congress. Isn't that basically what that said?
Kind of looks like it to me.
It was the 25th Amendment that everybody's bragging about taking the president out, taking Biden out of office, when it's already there in the.
Well, it makes it a great headline, though. We got to have everybody like running around like turkeys with their heads going in this direction and that direction to follow the next new little butterfly that falls in front of us or that flies in front of us.
And this, of course, was done in 1965, or was ratified in 1965, passed by Congress. Why 1965? What was going on in that time period? President Kennedy was assassinated, right? The year before.
He was assassinated in 63.
63, that's right.
Yeah, he was assassinated in 63, and this Constitution was the 1963 Constitution.
And this was ratified this was passed by Congress in 65.
Illegally, unlawfully.
Unnecessary.
No, that's the Michigan Constitution. We're in federal right now, so we're talking two different things.
In the federal Constitution. We'll get back to that state constitution.
Yeah, we're talking the 1963 Constitution was the state.
Yes.
This one, the federal Constitution didn't change at that time, did it?
No, federal Constitution did not, but the amendment of the 25th Amendment was in 1965.
I got you. You lost me there just for a second. I was jumping around.
That was my point, that it was passed by Congress in 1965. What was going on in that time period? Well, that was the death of Kennedy and bringing forth the President Johnson. But it's already pretty clear in the Article 2 what happens if the president is incapacitated, the vice president takes over, and Congress can do whatever. So the 25th Amendment was really not necessary, as most amendments. But when we get to the 25th, we're going to read probably other things in there that they adjusted.
Well, and the thing of it is it's just like every other process they have is they've got to continue to create the bloat in government. And then even if they change one or two words in that, they'll take people on a rabbit trail down in a direction away from what the original intention of the law was. That's right.
So, and this is kind of a watering down of the Constitution.
I think so.
By federal public functionaries who probably didn't even know this part in the Article 2 existed.
How far back would you nullify? Which amendment would you go back to if you were going to nullify all this nonsense?
I know them all 11th Amendment forward.
11th Amendment forward, nullify it all.
Yeah, get rid of all of them because they're unnecessary. Most of them were junk to begin with, and then the 17th Amendment took the senators away from the state and made them voted in by the public. That was a total violation of the Constitution and should never have been allowed. So that amendment should have been gone. And of course, the 18th and what's the 21st, 18th Amendment for prohibition, and then the 21st. And you can't prohibit people from doing whatever they want to do, but it was not to prohibit people from drinking alcohol. It was to prohibit the sale and distribution of alcohol. So, I mean,
it's all the money flow. That's what it is. This is all about money and how people who have never really held a real job get in office Look at Biden. I mean, how many years has he been in the political arena? He's never done a thing in his life other than run for office. And they don't even do anything because they spend all their time raising money and going from one, I'm going to fundraise to fundraise to fundraise to fundraise to fundraise, and then off the cliff. That's all they do.
Let's go back to that Constitution again, right where we were.
Okay.
Removal of the president. Go to the next paragraph. President shall, at stated times, receive for his service a compensation for which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period of any other emoluments from the United States or any of them. What is an emolument?
Compensation.
Gift. Money. Okay. Biden. China. Money. Emoluments. Obama emoluments.
So the difference is that is not like a legal compensation. It's just somebody gifting them.
That's right. Gifting.
Well, anything that they receive is a gift. Shouldn't they be able to receive a gift on behalf of the people and put it back in the coffers for the people, but not themselves? Well,
there's always a way that, they could do that if it was public. They could ask the public. If China wanted to give Biden $1 million for one reason or another personally, then Biden would have to disclose that. China wants to give me $1 million for doing the following, for saving the octopus or squid that lived in his neighborhood. Biden did something to do that, and therefore a gift should be given to the president for that purpose and time. But he would have to acknowledge it, and he would have to make it public.
I agree that any gifts that are given during the time of holding an office, that there should be no gifts at all unless they receive something and view any and all gifts as property of the people. So like I was out on the campaign trail and I visited somebody who had a liquor store and a convenience store that they sell alcohol with. And he was very nice. And he said, his intention was just beautiful. And he said, I really want you to have this. I think you're an amazing person. And it was a very heartfelt, sweet offer. And I said to him, well, I thank you for that, but I can't take any gifts from you. I won't take any gifts from you, even something that seemed that innocuous, because that's like a slippery slope. So I said, I tell you what, I'm going to pay for that, because it was a gift, and I'll pay for that the thing that you were going to give me. And then if you want to give it to somebody else, that's fine, because I'm not going to be here to damage your business or to take things from you. You're in business to make money, and I should not even think about taking anything away from that business. We should be there. And this is a good lesson for everybody, that we should be there with an attitude of helping people, not taking any sorts of favors or gifts for them, because if we're really doing the right thing, we're there to help them build or to help them, not to help ourselves on any level.
Yep.
And I believe that to be a very important question people have to ask themselves before getting into any office. Am I willing to stand and turn things down, even though maybe nobody knows, or and be bomb-proof on that on every single step? Refusing to accept something as a favor or a gift. I think that's very important.
Okay, next paragraph. Before he enters, that's the president, enters on the executive office, execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Should he have read the Constitution of the United States?
Well, he clearly didn't, because he hasn't been protecting it. He didn't even read the oath of office, whatever he said. I'm not sure he could say it with 2 words connected, honestly. So, I mean, that's kind of like already, that's a big fail right there.
Section 2, the president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officers in each of the executive departments. Look at this very carefully right here, because this is important. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officers in each of his executive departments. So what is an executive department? Department of State? Is that executive? Department of Defense? Yes. Upon any subject related to the duties of their respective office, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in case of impeachment. That was interesting that, who was it? Nixon was impeached, at least by Congress, or was he impeached? I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, he may not have been impeached, but he was pardoned. And Biden thinks he can pardon his son and or himself, specifically himself. So that's why he's trying to stay in office if he can. So this is a very interesting part of the Constitution that is being breached right now. He shall have the power by and with the advice of the consent of the Senate to make treaties, provide 2/3 of the Senate present concur, and that he shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and counsels, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States, whose appointments are not inherited otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law, but the Congress may by law vest the appointments of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the court of law, or in the heads of departments. Now, the interesting part about this is the UN have a treaty with the United States?
Not one that would stand.
It does not have a treaty with the United States. Why? Congress has never approved it, number one. Number two, you have to be a foreign country in order to be allowed to have a treaty. So all this nonsense about the UN going after our guns or creating a police force, a UN police force that has any authority in the United States is fake.
It's a smoke screen, is what you're saying.
Yes, it is. It's all fake. And it's pointed out here in the second article's section 2 that treaties can be made, but they've got to be with the consent of Congress, and they are not with the consent of Congress or with the
Senate.
The Senate.
Provided 2/3 of the senators present concur.
Yeah, and that's never happened. The UN is not.
There's another letter we need to write right there. That's another one that we need to jump on, is that part right there, is say, your treaties are all null and void. Get out or remedy it.
That's a good point.
I mean, let's write that one down. I'm going to write that one down right there, because we need to go after that too. So I think we're gonna have a whole friggin' I gotta text this to myself here. You're
retired,
No, you're not. You can't retire. You didn't ask us, and we have to concur with 2/3 of the viewers out there that John can retire. And I'm going to veto it anyway. So there you go.
All right, is this the last paragraph? Yeah, so let's do this last part and we can stop at 3. The president shall have the power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of the next session. And we'll stop at section 3. What time is it? Yeah, well, we'll probably should.
Hang on a minute. So I'm making notes. I'm texting you right now. So we've got notes to go back to a minute. So we need one for.
Oh, man.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do? This is going to make them all, stir them all up in here. The bastards that hit a tax record on me to do a tax grab. They like launched a war with Donna Brandenburg. And if they did it to me, they've been doing it to other people too. I watched it happen in St. Clair when I was there, how the city up there was waging war, economic war against the people and trying to do a land grab in St. Clair. And it's like, these people have got to be called out for this with no mercy. So we need one for the township, legislature, and include.
We probably should add somewhere in this letter that you better read the Constitution.
Yeah, let's just poke them in the eye with that one. And don't get stupid. I don't mean physically, okay? There you go. So, okay, we're almost back here. So hang on a minute. Ta-da, feedback. Moving on. Okay, you want to, that's a great place to stop then, so that we've got our homework to do. Everybody out there, get the name of all of your public functionaries, council, anybody in your townships or your cities, your whatever your jurisdiction is called, their village, whatever. There's a million names of it out there, and get the names and get ready, because when we are able to launch this, we're going to do this. We're going to do this together. Nobody has to do this alone. We're going to do this together, because I'm sure nobody else out there is stupid enough as Donna Brandenburg is to do this alone or run for office alone with no connections. So we're gonna make sure that you have people you can talk to, and that we can organize a little bit in order to have these machines removed. We have the right to do this, and I think we need to have. I think I can pull together about 50 people to 100 people in my local area. That's what I'm going after. And then going in there and standing together with us and letting them know what's going to change.
It would be good if, as you look up your public functionary in your neighborhood, if you could get their home address, that's great. You don't have to. You can send it to the city.
No. I like that idea. We're going to see if we can get their home addresses to insert that too. I mean, you don't go with a nail clipper to a missile fight here. It's like they need to know that we're serious.
Well, yeah, the address, the home address brings them more personally into the fight.
Yep.
The address going to the council itself, where there's 7 council members or 10 council, whatever the council members are, kind of makes it, you're throwing it into the pool of councils. If you could do it for your individual council member, and then maybe send it to that person's home, and on top of that, send the letter to all the other council members, to the city council itself, because you have one person representing you, and that's the one that you want to zero in on. That's the one that you will have standing in court on. Not that you won't have standing on the rest of them, but it's much more capable.
I think the way to go with this, John, is we go and we serve them this notice and give them a chance to remediate, and after that, then we create letters to go after the individuals lawfully to remove them and say this person violated this person, and go right down the line.
Yeah, we can do that.
The first step, though, is to go after them and tell them you right now have got a chance to remediate this, and this is what has to be done.
That's right.
And if you don't, you are in violation, and you will be found guilty for subverting the United States of America at the local level. And I don't think we're going to have to do a whole lot of this. I don't think it's got to be the whole state. I don't even think it has to be 1/10 of the state to do this. We need some people that are willing to do this. And once this thing gets out there, it's going to be a little bit of a panic situation, because the people that are being threatened or whatever, it's going to be like, I'm out of here. This has gotten way out of control as far as we're actually going to have to follow the law. You mean we have to follow the law? Gonna have to. I put my phone number in the chat for everybody. If you want to get a hold of me and you want to join in, you give me a text with your name, and I will make sure that you're part of this, so that we can continue to move forward and put together kind of a structure of us. And if you're deep state, don't bother. Just gonna waste your time. So, but anybody else, come on and let's go do this together. It's gonna be great. So let's say a prayer, John, and we're gonna go into our day. Okay.
Okay.
So, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for each and every person out there, for the knowledge that you've imparted to everyone, for John, for the knowledge you've given him, and his having an entire life to study this, and his willingness to share this with all of us. It's just an extraordinary time to be alive, and we are thankful for your strength and your courage. And I would ask that you would give everyone out there your strength, your courage, your ability to stand in this present darkness that we live in order to help in the fight to work for your good purposes. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the day that you've given us, another day yet here to serve you in so many different ways. And we just want to let you know that we love you. You've been a great friend to us, and we want to be a great friend to you. Thank you for this day ahead of us. Help us to always keep our eyes on you, knowing that Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and the veil was rent in two, and we can go directly to you to have conversations. And thank you that you talk to us, and that you tell us through many means exactly what it is that you want us to do, and help people to listen to you and to follow those intuition moments, as we'll call it, or those times when the Holy Spirit is talking to us, instead of following the flock of lost sheep that are out there wandering around, running into fences and such. Help us to keep our eyes on you always, that we would follow you down whatever path you ask us to go down, and we're willing to do such things. In Jesus Christ's precious name we pray, amen. So there you go. So go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com, because I am the best non-conceder that has ever not conceded in the history of the United States. Maybe John is there. John is kind of there too. So you need to keep your cowboy boots on. Then you're a real threat with that. So at any rate, you need some cowboy boots, John.
I have cowboy boots, actually.
Okay, well, there you go. Get our cowboy boots on, and we're going to go all kinds of cowboy on everybody. So at any rate, enjoy your day today. It's going to be a great day. Tomorrow we have Liberty Essentials with Bill Moore on. And this Bill Moore, we are going to have a debate this weekend, and I think that we're probably going to have several people that are not able to travel here for whatever reason. So we're working on doing the ones that are coming will be on, I think I'm not sure exactly how many are going to show up, but we're trying to enable people to be able to get to participate in the presidential debate for the U.S. Taxpayers Party, Constitution Party. And this is not about usurping President Trump, because I have not conceded, and I will not concede that 2022 election until the 2020 election and the 2022 election are remedied. Not going to concede it. And so, but we do have to listen to people and where they are, and listen to what they have to say and their ideas. And this is what this is all about. So you're welcome to join us. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. When you join people from the Constitution Party, the Taxpayers Party, you don't see the craziness that you see in the Republican Party, because we aren't going to stand for it. This is a time to be statesmen, to come together as friends and family, and it's a lot of fun. So that is this Saturday coming up. Hopefully we will see everybody there on April 6th, and it's Leon's Family Dining and in Dearborn. And we would like to welcome everyone to join us. And you can go to my Telegram channel. I'll post the invite again so that you can come and join us and have discussions with us. We love you very much, all of you out there. And I hope I'm proud to stand with you. And I'm saying that to the people that are on the chat and such, that I feel so much respect and honor to be able to stand with everybody out there. It's just amazing. So with that said, God bless you. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Have a great day. Make it so. And come back with some more zingers, John, because it's like every day sitting with you, it's a zinger. And if you don't know, John's going to tater you. You're wrong. And then we get corrected. And that's a good thing. So have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
So long.